Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're putting on our anthropologist hats to examine a truly fascinating, deeply strict, and heavily militaristic society. We're looking at the Empire of Gondor. But we aren't just looking at random historical accounts or secondhand rumors here. We're actually going straight to the source. We're going to explore this complex world through their very own official literature to understand exactly how this society functions from the inside out.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're starting with a piece of the literal rulebook for a Gondorian life. This is the 5th edition of the Gondorian Citizen's Handbook, issued directly by the Imperial Chancellery. And this physical document, it isn't just a set of polite suggestions. No way. It is the ultimate guide to navigating a highly disciplined, strictly organized life within the Empire. It literally tells you who you are, what you wear, how you work, and exactly how you're expected to serve.
And this quote right here brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of the entire society. Emperor Siberius states, "The strength of the empire lies not only in its armies, but in the conduct of its citizens." That perfectly sets the stakes and the duty-bound tone for everything we're about to cover today. In Gondor, your personal conduct isn't just about your individual reputation, it's treated as a literal matter of national security and imperial strength.
Part 1. Birth and Coming of Age.
So, the absolute crucial point to understand first is that not everyone living in the Empire is actually a citizen. A true Gondorian citizen is defined by a very strict legal parameter. You must be born upon the mainland of Gondor to two Gondorian citizens. If you meet that gold standard, well, the doors of the Empire are just thrown wide open for you. It grants you full political rights, makes you eligible to serve in the Senate, and gives you unrestricted access to the prestigious imperial academies.
But what if you're born outside the mainland, out in one of the governorates? Well, the Empire is super strict, but it does offer a path to actually earn your status. There are 3 primary ways to achieve citizenship. You can dedicate 10 to 20 years of honorable military service, you can graduate from an imperial academy, or you can lawfully purchase land and establish a family right there on the mainland. It's kind of like a meritocracy, built entirely on service and investment. However, and this is a big however, if you're born in a protectorate, which is a step even further out, you don't even get these paths unless you have a Gondorian father. So bloodline and mainland ties basically dictate everything.
There's also a really unique cultural quirk regarding how they name their children. Gondor actually does not recognize family surnames. Instead, they use a patronymic system. That means it's your personal name followed by your father's name. So Aelius, son of Varanus, is simply Aelius Varanus. We can use the neighboring kingdom of Cian as a pretty stark foil here. Over in Cian, hereditary family names are the norm, and they act as these massive symbols of lineage and aristocratic inheritance. But in Gondor, your identity is intrinsically tied just one generation back to your father. It keeps the focus on immediate individual duty rather than, ancient family glory.
Now, this timeline shows just how incredibly fast they have to grow up. Birth is stage 1, obviously, but by age 15, you are legally an adult. Just imagine that for a second, reaching full adulthood at 15. While most teenagers are worrying about high school, every able-bodied Gondorian male becomes immediately eligible for military service, or they have to begin their apprenticeship or trade. And with an average life expectancy of only about 60 years, the Empire wastes absolutely zero time putting its youth to work.
Part 2. A Society of Soldiers.
In Gondor, the military isn't just a career choice for some people, it's a fundamental pillar of existence for everyone. The Handbook explicitly states that every able-bodied Gondorian male must complete 1 year of compulsory military service. This mandatory service acts as the great equalizer in their society. Plus, it's the highest path to honor, societal advancement, and, as we saw earlier, citizenship for those born in the provinces.
And this intense military focus directly dictates their physical appearance too. The Gondorian ideal values extreme discipline over any kind of ornament. Men keep their hair short and remain completely clean-shaven. Perfumes are rarely worn. You won't really see tattoos either, well, unless you're looking at a sailor or a naval veteran. Instead, the ultimate physical ornaments in this society are battle scars. A scar isn't seen as a disfigurement at all. It's a highly respected mark of courage and honor that you've earned in service to the state.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what happens if you rise through the ranks to become a commissioned officer. You enter this world of deep, highly specific tradition. For starters, you wear a silver pinky ring to denote your status. You decorate your office with campaign maps and trophies. There's also a deeply personal connection to warfare. Officers proudly engrave their swords after defeating enemy commanders, and they intimately name their horses. If that horse is killed in battle, it's customary to actually bury a saddle beside it. They even burn the flagship of a deceased admiral, and they'll always bless their weapons at the Temple of Bellum before heading out on a campaign. These rituals really bind the officers together in a tight brotherhood of shared sacrifice.
And get this, you can tell exactly where someone stands in this hierarchy just by looking at them. This highly stratified society visually dictates exactly who you are based on what you're wearing. Everyday citizens, they wear simple, white or dark garments suited for manual labor. Military officers stand out with these distinct silver cloaks. The Senate and landowning nobles don long, white ceremonial cloaks. And at the very top of the martial food chain, generals are instantly recognizable by winged helmets, a visual reserved exclusively for senior command. There is absolutely no guesswork in Gondor. You wear your rank on your sleeve, or in this case, on your head and shoulders.
Part 3. Daily Life and Devotion.
Zooming out a bit, the daily life of a Gondorian is incredibly simple, functional, and regimented. Most citizens begin work shortly after sunrise and head home just after sunset, even though their cities are actually illuminated at night. A typical breakfast is totally unpretentious, just bread, butter, and eggs, with the bread usually baked right there in the household. Their public utilities are incredibly well managed too. They get their water from mountain canals constructed by local authorities, and they socialize and wash in public baths that are common all throughout the empire. When it comes to their economy and their professions, the pathways are remarkably strict and structured. Farmers generally just inherit their occupation directly from their parents. Doctors? They don't go to medical school as we know it today. They learn strictly through apprenticeship. If you want to govern, you have to be an experienced academy graduate who has already completed military campaigns. And yes, they even have an institutionalized pipeline for espionage. Imperial spies are officially recruited directly from the graduates of the Skirmisher Academy. Literally everyone has a designated track.
Their spirituality is equally organized. The state religion is called Divintas, and it revolves around 4 principal deities that perfectly mirror their societal priorities. Bellum is the god of war, and unsurprisingly, the Temple of Bellum is regarded as the holiest sanctuary in the entire empire. Then you've got Philum for agriculture, Equar for the sea, and Paris, the protector of the poor. The whole society basically pauses on the first day of summer for Willem Day, which is the absolute greatest religious festival of their year.
And this next point just brilliantly illustrates how deeply ingrained their culture of readiness really is. Because even in their downtime, their recreation is totally explicit. Horse racing, military competitions, hunting and target shooting. I mean, in Gondor, even fun sounds exhausting. Aside from theatrical performances, nearly all of their popular pastimes are explicitly meant to strengthen the body and the spirit for the Empire.
Of course, all of this massive structure, infrastructure, and military might requires a lot of funding. Taxation is required of absolutely every single citizen, from the lowly farmer all the way up to the highest senator. Governors are responsible for collecting these taxes, and because this is such an orderly, unforgiving state, dodging your duties comes with some pretty severe penalties. Failure to pay means imprisonment, and in cases of severe fraud or treason, well, it results in execution. The empire always demands its due.
Part 4. Death and Legacy. Let's use the Kingdom of Sion as a foil one last time here to really contrast their values. When a Gondorian father dies, his estate is divided into equal portions among all of his legitimate male heirs. It's a highly utilitarian approach. Now compare that to the traditional hereditary wealth over in Sion, where the eldest son just takes the family name and the principal estate, leaving the younger children with whatever happens to be left over. Gondor's system prevents the hoarding of massive generational estates by a single heir, which keeps the focus on broad collective stability.
And when a Gondorian is finally laid to rest, it's done with this quiet, solemn dignity. Civilian funerals are strictly private affairs, attended only by blood relatives. They don't do massive public wailing or grand processions for the average citizen. Instead, the deceased are buried in mountain cemeteries that overlook their homeland, sort of a final, silent watch over the empire that they served. The military naturally operates under its own distinct rules, with military funerals conducted entirely separately under the strict regulations of the Military Council.
So looking at the intense structure, the compulsory service, the strict social guidelines, and the unwavering dedication required literally from birth to death, it leaves us with a pretty provocative question. In a society where your every single move is dictated by duty to the state, where discipline is valued above absolutely all else, could you survive the Empire of Gondor? It is a fascinating, awe-inspiring, and honestly terrifying world all at once. I hope this explainer gave you a great insight look at how this incredible society functions. Keep questioning, keep learning, and thanks so much for joining me.